Hello, everyone. I'm Tamara Zubatiy, CEO and co-founder of Barometer. Barometer helps teams glean data-driven insights from their unstructured content. So as I said, I'm Tamara, and I met my co-founder, Grant Nelson, at UC San Diego, where we both studied cognitive science with specialization in machine learning and neural computation. And the kinds of questions that we were interested in included things like how to understand how the brain systematically makes mistakes when interpreting new information, and how we might leverage machine intelligence to augment and amplify human decision making rather than automating the person out of the picture. Now a PhD student at Georgia Tech studying human-centered computing, I'm focused on actually integrating AI systems into complex socio-technical ecosystems and making sure that they work for all of the complex stakeholders involved. The problem we are solving is that of the information age, the problem of too much information. To put it into context, just in the last 2 years, we've created 90% of all of the content that we've ever created in history. This is not slowing down. We're only creating more content and sharing it. And the speed of the distribution and the speed of creation is going to keep increasing exponentially. To further complicate the problem, when we humans take in information, our experience is regulated by our brain, and our brain learns certain rules or heuristics, aka biases, that help us make the right decision at the right time. And so these biases taint the way that we experience information. And so, for example, when you're hearing information about something that you don't agree with, your brain naturally puts up a defense against that. But content marketers are aware that our brains work this way, and people who create content can actually leverage their understanding of our cognitive biases to manipulate our interpretations and decisions. So how does that work? So for example, if you're hearing about something that you disagree with and the author presents it in a more positive way, you might be more tempted to accept it. Another example is the author may only choose a small subset of the facts to represent, anchoring their argument or framing it in a particular way. And that might cause you to accept it in a different way. So how do we deal with this human problem? Barometer uses AI to analyze text quickly and consistently and empower teams to read between the lines of their content and actually understand the attributes. For example, understanding the editorial bias in their content, understanding the level of sensationalism and whether it's appropriate, understanding the colloquial language, how colloquial the language is in the content, whether it was written by a bot or not, and much more. This is a growing problem that represents a huge monetary opportunity. The marketing industry kind of pioneered this analytic process with content where they put out content and then analyze it later. So there's a huge opportunity there. And we're starting with the English speaking language world. So that includes the US marketing services market, as well as in the future, Great Britain, Australia, Canada. And in parallel, we noticed some really exciting trends in the natural language processes services market, which has grown leaps and bounds in just the last 2 years due to literally exponential increases in the capacity of the compute power that has enabled us to answer and ask questions that simply we couldn't ask before. And we noticed that in parallel, we're seeing the business intelligence market also on the rise in the next 5 years, and possibly capitalizing on this new ability to make use and make sense of the vast amounts of text content that businesses aggregate. We're moving very fast. Since starting working on the B2B version of Barometer this summer, we got backed by Outlander and started working full-time in November of 2020. So by the end of November, we had built and deployed version 1 of our B2B software and distributed it to 2 of our pilots who were able to give us quick feedback. And since then, we've gotten 15 total pilots committed, anxiously awaiting the release of our V2, which will be live this month. And of course, we have some very exciting prospects in the works. So how does it actually work? Barometer takes in your text content. So for example, this article, and then it outputs the scores. And so you'll notice the green targets represent whatever the aim of the content creator is, or possibly what our algorithm has determined to be maybe the requirement or the average of their historical content. And then you can see how their content actually stacks up along each of our key metrics. But as we know, this is a problem of scale. So what really is important is to look at the distributions of the content over time and making sure that your business is actually meeting its own expectations. In a time of increasing awareness, rightfully so, to diverse audiences, it pays to understand your own biases as a business and also the way in which your content relates to your clients. That's what we're trying to help our customers do. So we've noticed that our customers fall into two main clusters. The first are those that have very, very data-driven, data-intensive backends. So we call them our plug-and-play customers. For these people, they are building existing models and tools that are informing their clients and helping them make brilliant decisions. So they may be looking at feature sets with like 1,000 features. And for them, they need our outputs to help make their answers, their client services smarter, more effective, and help them save their clients money. So typically these customers need to score on the order of 35,000 pieces of content every single day. So as you can imagine, you would need a small army of analysts, and even they would be subject to things like human fatigue, inconsistency. So they really need that consistent and efficient analysis. And for these companies, we're charging between $20,000 and $30,000 a month, depending on actually what their demand is. And in the other bucket, we have all of our measure and predict pilots and clients. So these folks are interested in measuring what matters. And this depends on what their key performance indices are. For some, this might be engagement. For others, it might be subscription rate. And they typically have a slightly less demand. So they need to run on the order of about 1,000 articles a day. And for them, the pricing starts at $5,000 a month and includes our analysis in addition to just the API calls. So we will actually run the correlation analyses between their outputs and their key performance indices and help them make calls such as, well, we have one piece of content that got 1 million views and one piece of content that got 5 views. What's the difference between those two pieces of content, and how can we make more content get 1 million views? So we've validated our business model across 3 enterprise verticals. The first, big data and intelligence, falls into that plug and play bucket. The main pain point here is the scale. There's simply too much content for them to efficiently process and make sense of in a machine readable way such that their models can then utilize those inputs as for their own outputs. So we do very limited analysis, but they really, really need our outputs to make their models stronger. And this allows them to save their customers money, their own analytics get smarter, and so they're able to improve the performance of their internal models. For news media and marketing, there's kind of some overlaps in terms of their needs. So starting with news, journalists have to comply with the style guides and requirements of working in their specific institution. And readers of that institution expect a certain style, a certain consistency. And that's really tough to achieve, especially now remotely. It can also lead to some personal differences or disagreements between editors and journalists. In addition, they're sitting on a vast archive of past content that currently isn't being used as efficiently. In marketing, it's similar. Content creators are responsible for creating content for all sorts of different companies and abiding by their respective standards and requirements. It can be very time consuming and difficult to match all of these diverse styling requirements. For both of these customer types, we provide a very similar process. First, we process all of their historical archive content using our API. This happens very quickly, so we're able to get them a dashboard showing the distribution of their content, sometimes in as little as a day. And then what we're able to do is actually correlate their outputs with whatever their key performance metrics are, and then surface our insights about the relationships on their dashboard. So what does this empower our clients to do? For news and media, this allows them, first of all, to make sure that all of their journalists are consistent in their tone, in their style, and matching the requirements. This can help with managing the public relations of a news provider, and in general, in just maintaining that consistency that readers value so much. In addition, it helps it helps news providers make use of their vast archives of data by indexing them in such a way that they can easily pull them up and make use of them. In marketing, content creators are able to better understand what makes a piece of content stand out as required by the client, and then have an actionable metric that can help them meet that goal. Furthermore, it can help them train new people to meet that goal consistently. And of course, it can help them plan content strategy based on their client's historical content performance. So this is very exciting, and we're moving very quickly. This quarter, we're converting 5 of our pilots to paying customers. And next quarter, we will be raising our pre-seed round to focus on growing our team and evolving our product offering. Our early pilots have informed us of several key models that they are looking forward to, and we see this across the board. And so our next iteration of our product will include modules for gender, racial, and socioeconomic bias. In Q3, with our evolved product offering, we'll be scaling our paid customers according to our 2-tiered business model, focusing on those enterprise customer needs. And in Q4, we'll be looking beyond our initial 3 verticals, looking into other potential verticals, starting with likely HR. To help us get to our goal of 1.8 million ARR by the end of this year, we're raising $2 million in Q2. This will help us grow our team and evolve our product to meet the growing demand of our clients. Thank you so much for your attention today. This is really the problem of our time. And in the future, it will pay to understand the biases of your own organization and of the organizations that you work with. If you're interested in helping us solve this problem, reach out to us at founders@vericrypt.io, and we'll be delighted to get to know you soon. Thank you.